review of police response to the school shooting in Nashville. Boats still aground in southwest Florida.
At one point in time, everything behind me was for sale.
More than a half year after Ian. And Venezuelan migration.
There are 5 main reasons why Venezuelans are fleeing.
The subject of a panel in D.C. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Amanda Gray.
I am Paloma Pimentel. Today is Wednesday, March 29th, 2023.
Live from the FIU Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Police get closer to finding the motive of the Nashville school shooter. As a heartbroken Nashville community grapples with a mass shooting that claimed the lives of 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults at a private Christian school, police are uncovering more details about the 29-year-old shooter.
Ivan Rodriguez is in Nashville with the latest.
Monday's attack was the deadliest U.S. school shooting in nearly a year. Outside the Covenant School's entrance, there are now 6 crosses to remember those who were killed. A community united in their grief. Neighbors, friends, and family pay tribute to the 3 children and 3 adults killed at the Covenant School in Nashville, including the head of the school, Catherine Kuntz.
She treated everyone like they were the most important person in the room.
The governor of Tennessee sharing in their grief.
What happened at Covenant School was a tragedy beyond comprehension.
The attack unfolded over 14 minutes Monday morning. Body cameras reveal police running toward the sound of gunfire without hesitation.
I was really impressed that with all that was going on, the danger that somebody took control.
As police continue to uncover more about the shooter, a former student, the motive remains unclear.
The students that were targeted were randomly targeted.
Minutes before the rampage, a childhood friend of the shooter says she got an Instagram message from the shooter that they were planning to die that day.
Initially, I was, trying to comfort her, but as soon as I got it, it was just like, this is strange.
While the community waits for answers, a memorial continues growing outside Covenant Presbyterian.
This really hurts. And I just hope they're all with God.
The city of Nashville is holding a vigil tonight and establishing a fund to help the survivors of the shooting. The mayor says 100% of the funds will go to the victims' families. In Nashville, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
More than 6 months after Hurricane Ian made landfall, the Gulf Coast of Florida has become a junkyard for sunken ships. Boats, cars, and other items that Hurricane Ian sunk in September are popping up every day on Pine Island, the largest island on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Although many of the boats are destroyed, insurance companies are still trying to sell them in online auctions to recover some of the losses from Ian. From Tyler Marks, Vice President of R.J. Gorman Marine Construction, his team has been tasked with uncovering the debris.
Why they're staged here is to allow for a safe environment for adjusters or investigators with the state. We've probably only fed maybe 30 through the chipper so far.
The road to recovery is ongoing as Mark says there are still hundreds of boats needing to be fished out.
Tragedy in Fort Myers as an apartment fire has left 2 people dead. Charlotte County Fire Rescue says it received a call yesterday morning about smoke and flames coming out of an apartment building. Firefighters say they were able to get the blaze under control within minutes, but 2 people were killed and 5 more injured, including a child. The state fire marshal, alongside the Charlotte County Fire and Sheriff's Office, are investigating the cause of the fire.
A conversation about the current situation in Venezuela took place at one of the most renowned universities in the nation's capital. Our DC reporter Claudia Morales was at the event and has more details on the story.
An unprecedented humanitarian crisis has caused over 7.1 million Venezuelans to flee their country. A group of panelists at Georgetown University gathered Monday to discuss their personal experiences as migrants outside their land. The largest exodus ever seen in the Americas. That's how our panelists referred to the recent Venezuela migration at the event hosted by the Migration and Refugee Policy Initiative. David Smolansky says that there are several factors why Venezuelans keep risking their lives when crossing the border.
There are 5 main reasons why Venezuelans are fleeing. First of all is the humanitarian crisis. 1 out of 3 Venezuelans cannot eat 3 times a day. The second is the lack of medicines. Then the collapse of the public services. This is something that has gotten worse since 2019. Then you have the collapse of the economy. And then, but not least, is the human rights violations.
According to data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, more than 150,000 Venezuelans crossed the southern border last year. Rafael Alfonso participated in the national protest that sparked as opposition to Nicolas Maduro regime in 2017.
Venezuelans don't want to leave the country. The reality is that Venezuelans are forced to leave, and we need to stop that. And the only way to stop that is stopping Maduro regime.
Students believe that this kind of events will bring a spotlight to the issue in hopes for change.
We're doing this event to create awareness and also to identify possible volunteers to help the migrants and inspire students to write papers or to do research or to get involved in any possible way.
Panelists also invited guests to join forces with Humanitarian Crisis, a nonprofit dedicated to help refugees and migrants. In Washington, D.C., I'm Claudia Morales for the South Florida Media Network.
Americans feeling less generous as more and more quick service restaurants like coffee shops and fast food are giving the customers the option to tip. Fewer and fewer Americans are coughing up the cash. The network's Amanda Milian explains what's driving the backlash.
18% gratuities already included in the bill. Girl, it's water.
Across social media, a backlash to the growing number of quick-service restaurants like Starbucks and Panera asking customers to tip. It's up 11% since 2020, according to data from Toast, a restaurant management software company.
Did you add a tip at the bottom? A tip? For what?
That's a little too crazy for me, and I refuse.
But the tipping percentage at these places is down, dropping to just below 16%. Professor Deepayan Biswas has studied tipping for a decade.
That's when these businesses realized they can put in a tipping option and earn a lot of money. If you're adding 10%, 20%, that's a huge jump in revenue for a lot of these businesses. And the digital interface facilitated that.
He's concerned the backlash could spread to other services.
That's my biggest worry, that it might actually affect the industry where it really matters the most, the full-service restaurants where the servers don't even make minimum wage.
This is Amanda Milian, South Florida Media Network.
The Heat are sweating as they look to regain their flame before they face the Knicks.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
You know, it really had to be about relatable people that you would invest in and care about their journey.
A whole new generation of D&D fans get a chance to see behind the curtains of the new film before its release. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out. Good night.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
Lead actors share new insight on the creation of the new Dungeons & Dragons film. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves doesn't hit theaters until Friday, but fans of the popular fantasy game have been playing out their own version of this film for their whole lives.
CNN's Rick Damagella went on a quest to find out more.
We're thieves, but we help the wrong person steal the wrong thing and unleash the greatest evil the world has ever known.
How many of your tabletop role-playing game sessions started out that way? Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez gather a party of adventurers to undo the evil in Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
The wonderful thing about Dungeons & Dragons, not having known anything about it, or role-playing games at all, is that essentially what it is, it's a game for actors. All you're doing is playing pretend like you would in an improv class. You're given a certain set of circumstances, obstacles, powers, backstory, and then someone says go and, start playing.
I don't mind that.
Rodriguez went beyond play, performing roughly half of her own stunts.
Anytime you see a guy being lifted over the head and swung across the room, that's my stunt double. But yeah, I learned all the choreography so I could match her.
The movie is based on a small portion of the massive lore of the nearly 50-year-old role-playing game.
We started with the characters. It really had to be about relatable people that you would invest in and care about their journey. And then we built out.
We were faced with these very unique Dungeons & Dragons-y challenges in how they're going to be able to pull off this heist in a way that is cinematically appealing, but also very true to the mechanics of the game.
This one's dangerous. But whatever happens, we'll be ready.
Rolling for initiative in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
The Miami Heat trying to find their fire after the second loss in a row against the Toronto Raptors. While the Heat had a good first quarter, the team struggled overall, especially with their star player Jimmy Butler out due to a neck injury. Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero played a good game, scoring 54 points combined, but it wasn't enough as the Raptors just outplayed the Heat. The final score was Heat 92, Raptors 106. The Heat will move on to the New York Knicks today at 7:30 p.m. You're watching SFMN Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Panthertech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I am Paloma Pimentel.
I'm Amanda Gray. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.